stays quiet, and then gets to see immediate success, and you guys exceed expectations in year one. Like as a fan, you must be over the moon, dude.
Yeah, but I ain't gonna lie. I didn't expect the type of season we had. Going into last year, my main thought process was me personally. I don't really care about the record that much. I just want to see my quarterback develop and my picks develop too, and we find a core. We find a core players of the team. So Mikey Sanders, Jaden, Johnny Newton, Brandon Coleman, they all contributed to the team and they got significant reps against in insignificant games. So, but yeah, they went over expectations, bro. 12 wins. I've never seen my team get 12 wins. The most wins I saw was 10. And it's gonna be interesting next year. I'm not really tripping about that sophomore slump stuff, Mark. Uh, yeah, they gonna have film on Jaden, but what makes you think Jaden not gonna be watching film too? It goes both ways. So,
Jaden's special, man. He's different. There's not going to be a sophomore slump with him. I think he wins MVP this year.
oh man, hey man, listen. I granted I would love the MVP, but I want to see a ring. I was one game away from going to the bowl. One game away from
I
going to
mean,
the bowl.
it's open for them, man, in the NFC. If you think about it, I mean, like I know the Eagles have a good squad, and I know the Lions are
Mhm.
still there, but like the Commanders,
And
Redskins, whatever you call them, they have a good core now. They can continue to build off of it. I think Daniels only gets better. I think Debo is actually a really nice fit in there, where Adam Peters is the architect of that team. That is the big. You lose a guy like Daniel Snyder and you bring in new ownership and a guy like Adam Peters that knows how to build an organization, and you hit an absolute grand slam on the quarterback position. Everything else will follow in place. I'm in awe of what they've done. I'm actually a Dolphins fan, so it gets us and the Jets fans, we kind of commiserate together because we both of our franchises can't figure it out. I'm a big believer that it's GM, coach, quarterback. You get three of those, and especially at the level that you did, the sky's the limits.
yeah, and then we got Laramie Tunsil too, which I love
Dude,
that trade.
I think it was one of the best moves of the offseason.
I love that trade. I love that trade.
Yo, Neil, how are you? Good morning.
Good morning, brother. No, PD, I was
What's
thinking
up?
about what you just said. I think I would trade everybody on the Miami Dolphins for a second round pick except Waddle, Chop Robinson, and Devon A-Chain. Everyone else, second round pick, they can go.
Oh, shout out to Chop
Neil,
Robinson.
Neil,
He,
you've
he,
been Neil. I gotta give you this credit. You gash over Jaden Daniels, man. I believe he's a top five too now. He's
Yeah,
close.
see, he's got an element to his game, PD, that when you've played sports, man, like even at any level, like I coach young kids in soccer and baseball, right? And if it's an 8 o'clock in the morning game, I know certain guys on my team aren't going to bring their A game. You know what I mean? They're just not early guys. Like he has this element where nothing can rattle him. No situation, no scenario, nothing can shake
Yeah,
him. We say ice in your veins.
bro,
He's got glaciers in his veins
there,
because
there's
nothing
there,
rattles this dude.
there's a game he played against the Eagles. I think it was the second game. He was trying to spike the ball. Jalen Carter tried to talk trash to him, and Jalen talked trash right back to him. Bro, he don't. Bro, you played against the Cardinals. He told them, bro, y'all not, bro, y'all can't play with me. Like he talking trash to the defense sometimes. He threw that Hail Mary against the Bears, and he looked right at the Bears bench. Immediately, he looked right at the Bears bench, bro. Yeah, Jaden, nice, bro. Like you can't play man against him because if you do, he's gonna gash you. And if you play zone against him, he can dot you up. And if you blitz him, he showed he can play against the blitz. He's one of the best QBs against the blitz this year. So like, what can you do to stop him? I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to figure out why too, and I don't see it. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, that kid nice.
Yeah, I got my best friend's. He'd smack me if I said Commanders fan, but he would tell me to say Redskins. But he's got a son named Riggins and a dog named Theismann. So that will tell you how
Damn.
insane he is. But when Jaden Daniels enters the league with the composure and poise he has, and then you back it up on the football field, you automatically earn the respect of your teammates, your coaches. You don't have those questions surrounding young quarterbacks, that you typically have. I like Petey said, I'm a big Jaden Daniels guy. I think at worst he's already the fifth best quarterback in football, and my
He's
high,
close, Neil, in
yeah,
my
my,
eyes. Neil,
my high,
can I just comment before you? I'm not
yeah. Go
saying
ahead,
you're
bro. This is
going,
your
but
space. Yeah,
Neil,
you go.
this is what, and yeah, but I like to give everybody, I'd rather you guys talk. It's better when you guys talk. Here's my point with Fields. Like this guy, Robbie Zabo, put out some tape yesterday, and man, this guy can run, man.
Oh,
When
yeah,
he
Fields.
does that
That
fake, you
that's
know, the RPO, like, I mean, he takes off, but, Fields really intrigues me, man. But Fields isn't as accurate as Daniels. Daniels is, Neil, I went to his first game. I know it's preseason, but he threw a touchdown on the right hand side. Man, it was a dime, and the guy was all over him. The Jet corner, I was some, who knows? The guy probably didn't even make
Sauce.
the team. No,
Oh,
it wasn't.
Converse.
Stop, Jones.
Converse.
Yeah,
You talking about that preseason game,
Yeah, the
Peter?
Converse.
yeah,
It was over Converse. He
yeah.
threw it in a bucket.
Yeah,
Yeah, that
yeah,
well.
Caleb, you know the
yeah. It
throw I'm
was.
talking about,
Yeah,
right?
he threw it, bro. I was watching that. I think I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. It was to De'Ami Brown. He threw a dime, goal ball.
Yeah, bro. It was a the Neil. It just, if Fields can somehow get accurate, which the tape that this guy Robbie Zabo put out yesterday, I mean, he said this is why Aaron Glenn was probably, you know, uh, happy with him because he was gashing them on first down. He would run and just fake the handoff and just run to the outside. Neil, we've never seen that from a Jet quarterback
Yeah,
ever.
yeah.
Yeah.
Justin. Yeah, Justin Fields is he's special athletically. Petey, I will say that.
Well, that's why I thought it was a good signing, Petey, because it makes you, it gives you at least real competitive play at the quarterback position. Sure, there's warts. That's why he's available, and that's why he got the contract he did versus a contract that Matt Stafford or Geno Smith are getting, right? But he's a young guy. He The player he was at the Bears isn't the same player that the Jets are getting. He's getting a guy that went through a great organization in Pittsburgh, and I think that year probably matured him. He's outrageously respected by his teammates, and that goes all the way back to Ohio State. He's not going to confuse anyone back there
Yep.
with Dan Marino, and that's okay because here's what I like. My take on quarterbacks is a lot different than most. Like we all like I don't know how people digest or scout or do that, right? I always ask myself two questions when I look at young quarterbacks. What is their superpower? Can they win you a Super Bowl? That's the two questions I care about. What's their one superpower? So this year's draft, right? You know, I will say this. I think it's a very poor quarterback class overall. My overall grade would be like a C minus. People think I'm crazy because I have Jalen Milroe as the second best quarterback in this draft behind Cam Ward, and that's okay because I don't see any special qualities in Shador Sanders. I don't really see that any special qualities in Jackson Dart and going down the board. I know when I watch Jalen Milroe that he is an elite runner with the football, like elite, like as good as you will see. Comes in and then besides Lamar Jackson, Jaden Daniels, and Justin Fields, he's probably already one of the better running quarterbacks in football. He can't throw for shit accurately, and that's okay. That's exactly what they said about Lamar Jackson coming out of Louisville. The right organization drafts a guy like Jalen Milroe, they'll butt him into a star. If a team like the Dolphins get him, he'll probably be a bust. Like that's just the reality of it is that these good organizations know how to draft, develop, retain their talent. And it's funny,
Yeah,
man.
Neil, throw the Jets in that too,
Yeah, no,
besides the
I
Dolphins.
don't have to,
I
man.
think,
Like I throw it on the Dolphins. But one more thing I'll say is on Jaden Daniels, I got to give a guy credit. So I live in Baltimore. I know you got a lot of you probably know who Jason Lockenforn is. I know he doesn't have the best reputation in
bro,
sports,
he's
but
annoying, bro. He's
yeah.
annoying, bro.
Well, so I was at a banquet and he told me this well before the Jaden. It was during training camp, and they did a thing where they were going to different training camps and watching. And he told me that he was talking to, they were doing joint practices, and he told me, he's like, I was talking to somebody on the other team, and the league is absolutely terrified of Jaden Daniels. And I thought, like, what? Like, he's going to be good, but like, the league's like terrified. I honestly think that he has the feeling of like when Lamar Jackson started to figure it out, and that's where I think you're going to see a huge rise in Jaden Daniels this year, man. You're lucky, my brother, and I think enjoy it, man, because I will say this 110%
Yeah, I
confidence.
agree.
I think Pete and I both envy the position you're in versus the positions we're in.
Yeah, but Neil, at least you had, and well, Mark, you could just jump in. Neil, at least you had Dan Marino. I mean, what did we have?
Yeah,
I mean,
I love
Ken
Dan.
O'Brien.
You know what, to Pete,
You had him.
I love Dan, man. Like in my will, and I'm not exaggerating.
Dan,
I want to get
Neil,
buried
this
in my
is why
Mitchell and Ness jersey, but
Neil, Neil, let me just comment on this. This is why I don't like the Dolphins. When I grew up, he was a menace to the Jets. Like every time it was a shoot. Those were some classic games, man.
oh yeah, dude.
The Jets Dolphins were awesome.
Oh hell,
Like, but Marino usually always torched the Jets, but then it started changing, towards the end a little bit with Cascadin and all that. I know you recall that. You were young though.
yeah. No, I remember it all, man. But yeah, that's like, and I love him, and it's funny, dude. I think you're in the same position. I love Dameron's my favorite football player ever. My favorite football player ever will be the quarterback that actually can get me a Lombardi if that ever happens in my lifetime. You know what I mean? And I'm 42. The clock's ticking. Like,
Huh? Maybe it's so Zach Wilson will be it. I'm kidding.
yeah, shit. Whoever does it will be, because I'll tell you, man. I've
Oh,
had.
I got my cue.
There you go, Mark. What's
Yeah,
up, Mark?
yeah, oh yeah,
Hey, Mark.
yeah, Mark.
I just want to say
Yeah,
congratulations on the positive update, man. I was going through my email, and I got that email yesterday on the update, man. That's awesome to
Thank
see,
you,
brother.
Neil. Yeah, and I can. It's Oh, that took all the snark out of me when you said that,
thanks.
Neil. Okay,
No, dude,
so
Neil,
dude,
thanks for
dude, rip
sharing.
me.
Neil,
Mark,
thanks
you
for
can.
sharing that.
Mark, you can always do. We have a good banter, man. You can always throw a jab at me, man. I don't care.
no, I was actually going to go at Pete, but um, yeah, the update's pretty.
Yeah, Mark. Why don't you, Mark? Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. I would like to banter with you because I don't usually do it. It's usually me, going at you or June.
Yeah,
So go ahead. Talk about the more important thing right now,
yeah,
please.
yeah, the update. So, yeah, start of March we did so we had done the initial extraction of cells, which they cultured, updated the room on that, and then they cultured the cells, and then some 6 weeks later they administered the first treatment to Sophia, and it's wild. I mean, the hardest part, honestly, guys, if you ever have to be around giving an IV to a 2-year-old, it is, as a parent, it's devastating. Like, they don't know what's going on. They're constantly getting poked and prodded. Their veins are very small and very fragile. So it at one point, like my wife left the room and then I left. Like, it's very difficult. Um, Once that happens and she gets the actual treatment, it's wild how quickly the body heals from getting. They told us she had basically 4 times the amount of stem cells in her body than normal, and to see we had actually a therapy plan for her later that day to take maximum advantage of her getting the cells, and so we've been monitoring her progress, and um, we were trying to temper expectations. Um, Obviously, what we were immediately seeing was how much happier she was, and it's almost like you could tell it was like unlocking things for her. And we're seeing new behaviors now that because we see her every day, like we have an understanding of like what her learning trajectory is, so to speak. It's definitely ramped up. I mean, her control and just how much less tight she is on her right side, like her right arm, right hand. She's starting to use it more. She's starting to roll to another side. Her eyes would cross quite a bit. Now it's like she's able to focus in. Like, we'd actually gotten her glasses, which she doesn't like to wear because what kid wants to have glasses on her head, right? Especially at that age. But we got glasses for her because of her vision, and it's like her eyes are starting to focus in and lock on things a lot easier. It's a significant change, and obviously she is still not at the same pace that a 2-year-old would be at when it comes to talking and running around like the normal. But this is our only child, so like this is what we know. If that makes sense, Pete. So um, it's a significant improvement that we're seeing, and I also just want to say thank you again to the community for. I was very reluctant to even sharing this. I'm a private person, so to share anything like this, like I'm not big on that. But this has really opened my eyes because after we released, just for folks who haven't heard anything about this, like when we released the GoFundMe to do stem cell therapy for our daughter who suffers from cerebral palsy. Um, a couple days in, like we released the GoFundMe, and then a couple days later, maybe a day later, Pete, I messaged you that morning and was like, "Hey, is it all right if I mention this in the space?" And you're like, "Of course." Within like 24 to 48 hours, we had hit the goal of the GoFundMe, and we were trying to raise 20K for therapies because there's an initial one that's like $7,000, and then this last one she went through was $9,000, and we're doing it all out of pocket because it's not covered by insurance. And the community raised some $11,000 to support. Like we had individual contributors and the rest of it, but then I was in shock. I'm still in shock. We're still in shock over the amount of funds raised for this. So I couldn't be more grateful. And my wife and I talk about it all the time. And anyway, that's the update, Pete.
That's all, Mark.
Thanks,
That's
Mark.
awesome, man. And yeah, I always, it's if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together, man. And all we see on the media and everything is just things that divide and divide. There's still a lot of good people that just care. You know what I mean? And I think that was I thought. I'm on the outside of all that, man, and I saw the power of that. And I thought that was just amazing. We banter and bust each other's chops in here about football. You know, we're talking about millionaires playing a sport for our favorite team, right? We all have our own real life troubles, and I think it's powerful, man, when you can get support from people that you have conversations with you've never really met in person. It makes me feel good that there's still a lot of good out there, and it's refreshing, man, because I don't know. I don't want to make this anything but football space, but you turn on the TV and you're like, holy shit, man, what's the point of all this sometimes? And I think that's awesome, Mark. And I definitely will continue to pray and think about your daughter, man. And like for me, that's the best news I'll hear all day, man. And it's awesome to see you and your family getting immediate benefits and your daughter continuing to improve and take those next steps, man. So that's awesome.
Amen.
Appreciate that.
Yeah. Um, you know, I'll just comment by saying, I already thank the people that really helped spread the word yesterday. I mean, when we did it, but it really helped, so it's all you, whether you're listening, you liked it, you forwarded it, you reposted it, you donated, you mentioned it to somebody. So, yeah. And then, the escape is football here, which is here. The king, by the way, football is the king. Mark, so whoever, Jeff fans or whoever, come up here and speak because Mark, we're going to speak to Antoine at some point, and he said he wrote an article yesterday, and I want to read this to you, but if you have a banter to come at me, you want me to read?
I do.
Okay, so,
I do,
all
Pete.
right, go ahead.
So now that that update is there, now I can kind of get back to form. Pete, I put my hand up earlier. I want to thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate you. And
Just stop and go,
um,
please.
yeah, I wanted to say,
Don't get
I
snarky.
wanted to say,
Listen, you get snarky with me, it's different here, all right?
all right. I wanted to say, I see it's Brittany down below, one of the original third co-host. I want to welcome her to the space this morning. And I see a lot of friendly faces in here. I want to appreciate that. And to Neil's point earlier, just for a second, like we've seen some nastiness in our own community. I don't want to get too far into it, but it is nice to see that community when it gets together can do something positive, and it personally, in fact, impacted my family. So again, thank you. Pete, the more I think about this football team, heading into the league year, the more for me it's all about coaching. Like they've made a lot of shuffling. There's some talent changes and addition by subtraction, whatever. Listen, if this coaching staff is a hit, and I mean from Aaron Glenn, who's the leader in the building. I mean, I know we got a GM, right, who's making moves, but let's not mistake that Aaron Glenn is the leader of this football team, right? If he hits all the way down, particularly on the offensive, I'm not concerned about Wilkes, to be honest with you, because I think he got the short end of the stick in San Fran, is my perspective on him. And you have Glenn, who's going to be able to bolster Wilkes anyway, right? So I'm not really worried about the defense. If he hits with Engstrom and Hayden and Turner, who's in there, and who's the other offensive guys? Is Drake Bly on the offensive side of the ball, or is he
No, the corner coach, the defensive back.
That's the corner. Okay. So
Mark, we haven't done this in a while.
Yeah.
This is good because listen, there's not just Neil's up here. I could do this all day with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm waiting for this critical point that you're going to make so I can just lash out at you.
I'll just referee.
All right, Neil,
okay,
you
good.
can.
Well, listen, and I understand that this fan base as a whole is completely out on Zach Wilson and is very emotional on the topic of Robert Saleh comes up. Okay, very highly emotional when these two subjects come up. But that said, you're giving a shot to a guy as a first-time head coach, and now everyone is giving kid gloves to this guy, and I'm hopeful for what they do. Don't get me wrong, but I also can't ignore the tape when it comes to what I've seen from Justin Fields. And yes,
Mark,
he's highly athletic, and yes, he can run around like a maniac, and that's great.
Mark,
but last time I checked, the quarterback's half the quarterback.
Mark, before I fall asleep,
Yes.
Let me just make a point.
Oh,
I'm waiting.
Okay.
I'm trying to.
Go ahead.
So
Go
when
ahead.
Neil was when Neil was talking about Fields, I started thinking if Justin Fields has a bad game, in the beginning of the year, this fan base is going to go nuts and say I don't even think Fields has a chance. Honestly, with some of the fans, I don't.
They're going to say solid 2.0. Why did we get a defensive guy in? And listen, they're going to say, why did we get a defensive guy in here? And yet when you listen to Aaron Glenn talk, he's like, actually, if you listen to his interview talking to the Jets, because you just get way more out of that than I do from regular pressers. And he's like, you know what? I hate being this is what his words. I hate being referred to as just a defensive coach because I spent years understanding the offensive side of the ball and being in their meeting rooms and really going to school on offense, multiple years doing this. And I want to be looked at as a coach. My fingerprints are all over this team: offense, defense, special teams. This is a far cry from Robert Saleh's approach to the team. So it's I don't want to hear when folks start saying, oh, it's Saleh 2.0, I'm going to be mad because this guy is saying, no, that's not me at all.
Yep.
My fingerprints are on the whole team.
Mark, that's why I wanted to read this to you. Okay, now I'm going to talk for a minute. In 2020,
so I'm going to interrupt you.
No, go ahead and interrupt. In 2023, the Lions defense finished 19th in league yards, 336.1 yards, a season after finishing last in that category. So they went up from 32nd to 19th. A year later, the Lions were 20th in yards allowed, 342.4, but they were 7th in points allowed, 20.1. Detroit also allowed the second lowest completion percentage, 61.1, and the league's lowest passer rating of 82 last season. So Mark, everybody criticizes that Glenn, didn't have this stout defense. I mean, those stats are pretty good, man. And to put more context into it, this was despite the Lions having 13 players on injured reserve late in the season, including star pass rusher Aiden Hutchinson and cornerback Carlton Davis III. Glenn has been labeled as a culture builder, a coach who can get players to buy in and influence the organization. After having the longest playoff drought in the North, then the article cut off. That was from Antoine. So, first of all,
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Is Aaron, just thinking about what Aaron Glenn has done as a player, then he went and decided to go be a scout. Then he decided to, like I said, learn offense and special teams and really consider himself coaching. Is he, outside of Parcells, like, the most qualified head coaching candidate the Jets have had in a really long time since Parcells? Or are there more qualified guys than him as former Jet coaches? I'm asking. Pete, did you hear me? Or did you fall asleep? Is anyone
Mark,
listening? Are
no,
you still
Mark, I had a
me?
call.
Oh, okay,
Mark,
sorry.
yeah, no, all right,
Did you hear my
no, I
question?
heard you about Parcells and then anybody qualified. I mean, Mark, I can't even compare anybody to Bill Parcells, honestly. So,
I'm asking, is he the most qualified head coach that we've had since
eh,
Parcells? That's my
I don't
question.
know. Rex did a really good job. Herm was okay, you know.
Well, Rex was a defensive guy who also gave Sanchez like a color coded sheet
Yeah, that.
to handle his
Yeah,
offense. Like,
Mark, I can't. It's a loaded question. It can't be answered right now. The way he is, sure. You know, I don't know, Mark.
I'm just asking. It's Zach, we're just talking. Good morning. You can jump in wherever.
Yeah. Good morning, guys. Great
Morning.
update,
So,
Mark.
good morning.
That's
Thank you.
good to wake up to. Listen, Dave. Yeah, but the difference between Rex Ryan and Glenn, although I'm very happy for Glenn now, like I'm buying into it, but Rex Ryan had one of the most historically best defenses in the history of the sport with the Ravens. So they're not the same defensive coordinators, regardless of how many people Glenn had, hurt and all that. Rex Ryan was a lot better. If you're talking about being qualified, Rex Ryan was so much more qualified than Aaron Glenn. It's not funny. I mean, people can laugh at the Rex. I don't even know why they laugh at Rex Ryan. He's the only one that even sniffed the Super Bowl 2 years in a row for us. And then, I know there's this whole Mangini crap. That's Mangini. Okay, so Mangini went to the Browns and he got fired there too. So I just saying that as unqualified. Rex Ryan, again, had a historically great defense, maybe the best of all time. The Bears is probably the only other one that you could think of. So there's that. And the one other thing, the fan base well. Neil's a Dolphin fan, but he understands his fan base well. The only way you'll be happy in life is if you literally, like, no matter what happens, if he falls on his face, people will say he's solid 2.0. If he does well, there'll be some other narrative driven excuse for the folks that didn't want Glenn on why he's succeeding. Well, it's also because you're never going to win. So it's just enjoy the game as a regular fan, and just enjoy it, and that's what I would say. That's the way I'm going to be happy. I'm just going to watch and see. That's why I'm not so crazy about the draft right now, because I'm just going to watch and see how it plays out, and remove yourself emotionally from it. That's all I got
Yeah,
to say.
that's fair. Listen, it's less than 3 weeks away, so we'll see
Yeah,
what
I
the
think
Jets do, and they have money coming off the books with Rodgers, and they get 4 extra million with Mosley. So maybe they sign a couple of guys that get cut, you know, June 1st, because there's teams that haven't cut June 1st yet, neither. That somebody always gets released. Now, who is it? I don't know. So,
you can see they went in the direction of younger guys that maybe they can catch lightning in a bottle with, Cisco and all these other guys. So I think at least they get.
did we lose them?
We lose him? Yeah, I think so. Listen, the Jets have been shopping at the dollar store free agency. This is a far cry from these guys splashing for, you know, the marquee free agent. And a lot, listen, how many marquee free agents really got signed outside of folks who got tagged? I mean, I guess the biggest was T. Higgins. You want to say? Like he got tagged and then signed. Is he the biggest player, like real move that a team did
Probably
in free
Mark.
agency, or are there bigger
Who else
moves?
got a massive deal though? Somebody got a massive deal. Neil, who got a massive deal? I don't know.
PD, I can't really hear the space is going in and out for me, man. I don't know if it's my end or what. I couldn't. I only could hear the first
All
thing.
right.
Kind of. Yeah.
Let me announce that. I know it's on delay, so it'll be in about 15 seconds. Speak, listeners. Brittany, like Bird, Chris, Reggie, and all you guys. Good morning. Gio, what's up? Give me a thumbs up if you could hear us, please. Neek, let me see. Thumbs up. Aaron, Steven, Nelson. Let's see. It'll work.
I think it's getting better. I don't know if I'm
All
on the
right.
road, PD. I think I might be in a
Thank.
bad patch or
Yeah.
something.
All right. They're starting to shifty. Kev, what up, Kev? Nice to see you in here. All right. We got
Petey, did you hear everything that I said or no?
uh some of it, and then you went in and out.
You were
I
cutting out
heard
at
you.
the end, Zach.
Oh, I was just saying, at
Morning,
least
June.
it'll be interesting. That's all. At least it'll be interesting to watch.
Well, Zach, you said something I agree with 100%, right? Like, and it's not to knock. We're all fans when we all digest football differently, but it's hard to keep the masses happy. You know, we have some that off of one bad quarterback, and look, Justin Fields will have a bad performance this year, and teams will want and people want to jump off the bridge. Like, you know, I make no bones about it. Like, you know, Tua Tagovailoa is my favorite player in the league. With that said, he's under the microscope this year for me. If he can't stay healthy again, the Dolphins need to take a quarterback in the first round in 2026. That's just the way it is. Back in 2020, when I covered the draft for Pro Football Network, I'll say something that was unbelievable. The way I got interviews was grassroots, calling, you know, emailing, getting number. Tua Tagovailoa took an interview with me when he was going to be a top 10 pick, and I was some nobody at Pro Football Network. So I gained a lot of respect for him. You know,
Right.
he's a great, you know, off the field, he's an amazing guy. You got to produce on the field, and you know, there's Dolphin fans that like will completely crap on him because you know he's not Patrick Mahomes, and you know he sucks and all this stuff. You know, there's not a tree there, you know, out there that those elite quarterbacks grow on. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it,
Neil, you're right. And the thing, it exists, and I hate, so it exists in every fan base, right? My best friend, who was just here this past weekend, I know him since I'm 5. And he's a Dolphin fan, and he's a Dolphin fan. He used to come out in his Mark Clayton jersey. I said it on the spaces while I was wearing, God knows, Freeman McNeil and all types of other jerseys. And he would come out in Clayton or Dupa jersey. And he hates Tua, right? He'll call me and say, "This guy's made of tissue paper. He sucks." So it exists, and you love him. He hates him. Doesn't make anybody less of a fan. So I would I'm a fellow Jet fans. Like, you can hate and love who you want, but for me, I have to start emotionally taking myself out of these knee jerk reactions, because I'm just as guilty as everybody. From week to week, we're high and we're low.
yeah,
Uh,
and I ride that wave a lot too, Zach. I do too. You know, when we're doing well, it's like, yeah, we're kicking ass, we're gonna win this division, and then it's like, oh, here we go, we suck again. Let's get the second round pick and take Ronnie Brown again.
I would like to welcome June Smith to the space. June, good morning.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Neil. Good morning,
June,
Seth.
what's up, brother?
What's going on there, my brothers?
June, what's up, man?
Thanks, June. I appreciate the shout out.
What's going on, PD?
Jude, I'm glad you're here because I wanted to talk about Garrett Wilson, and I didn't want to do that with you not
Oh
here. So I'm
gosh,
glad you're here this
please,
morning.
can we just, don't
You know.
listen. I've held my temper with June, but I've been, June. I think just roused me up. That's what he does, and then June and I get not. June gets run over when he makes points, because everybody gets riled up and wants to say what they want to say. June's take of Garrett Wilson, in my opinion, is awful.
Abysmal.
No, wait. See, that's the problem right
Go
there.
ahead.
Because once again, and Neil, you don't have any skin in the game, so Neil, and maybe you could look at it, from my outside eyes. Once again, I'm not saying the guy is good. I'm saying he's very good. He just isn't elite. That's all I'm saying. And if you're gonna pay someone $30 million, make sure he's elite.
All right, can I say something, please, Pete,
Yes,
on
Mark,
this?
without asking, please. Just
All
June.
right,
June
look.
needs to be held accountable for that right there.
Well, listen. The best part about this is that Garrett's going to hold him accountable with his play. Okay, because look, you have the
That's good. That was
okay,
good.
you have the in this draft. Think about this for a second. In the draft class that we all say is one of the best draft classes the Jets have had in recent memory. Okay, you got Brees, you get Garrett, you get Jermaine Johnson, you get Sauce. Okay, all four of those players I think have struggled. They've had flashes, but these guys have struggled because the Jets are not a good football team, and these are some of the best players on the team. Okay, I don't see there being a
Agreed.
lot of argument with that. Okay, Garrett of the players I just mentioned has been the most consistent of the four players I just named. Jermaine Johnson was hurt, was supposed to have a breakout last year, but got hurt. Okay, Brees Hall had a down year last year. Sauce had a year that's down. These guys had years down by their standards. The most resilient guy of the four guys I just named is Garrett Wilson. If you were to put Garrett Wilson with a quarterback like Joe Burrow or even Justin Herbert or one of these other like quality players, are we talking about Garrett Wilson as a top 10, maybe even a top 5 receiver in the NFL? Like, I just don't. But because he's a Jet, we're like, oh, well, we feel comfortable saying, oh, well, this guy's a wide receiver too. Oh, his antics because he's jumping up and down. Or maybe he doesn't want to be here. Or maybe and we invent all this other BS around him where it is hard to lose often. Okay, and he's a young guy. It's tough to be on a bad team if you're a championship caliber player, and that's what I think Garrett is.
Now, once again, I'm not calling
Yes.
him. I'm calling him trash. Like I said, I keep saying he's a very good receiver. One of my point is, see, my point is, I don't want to overpay him, and I say this with all respect. He's not a red zone
Define overpay.
threat.
Now, I don't want to hear the red. I don't want to hear this red zone. Gene,
It,
what is overpay? Define this for me.
well, I mean, now people
30?
people idea of $30 million right now might be a bargain because of what you just seen Jamar Chase got, which is crazy. But yeah, yeah, I would say $30
Pete.
million is an overpay for Garrett. I would say it.
All right, Pete. Let me ask Pete this. Pete, what would a dramatic overpay be for Garrett Wilson? Where you'd be like, this is eye popping money. This is way overboard as an overpay for Garrett. Pete, are you there? Pete stepped away. Okay, you're saying 30, 35. What's the? You wouldn't pay him 30 million? Is what you're telling me?
No, I'm gonna keep saying it for the same reasons I keep saying. He's not a deep threat. He's not a red zone threat. I'm not doing that for He's not physical. No, I'm not. I'm just not doing that.
It's not physical.
No, he's not physical. He's not.
Dude, do you know what this guy does in man and zone and press? Like that's not his game, dude. You're expecting this guy to be DK Metcalf. They're built completely differently. And if you ask me, I'd rather have Garrett over DK. Like Garrett is shifty. In space, he's a real problem, a real yak problem, and his hands. And you tell me he can't track the deep ball, but where's the quarterback throwing him the deep ball? Like Garrett, his
Nope.
body control. Like I could keep talking about how good Garrett is, and I also don't think we've seen his best football yet. He
Now,
hasn't been he hasn't been surrounded by,
now,
we're talking
now,
about T Higgins and Jamar Chase. Guess what, man?
now,
Like these
look.
guys have
I'll say
quality
this.
players and quarterbacks
I'll
around
say.
him.
I'll say
What
this.
is Garrett
I'll say
at?
this to your point. I don't think we. I've seen his. I don't think anybody's seen his best ball yet. But if I got to pay you on what you've done so far, I'm not overpaying. Just because you're the best wide receiver in the room, don't mean you got to get the most money from me. And my like, I just won't. I won't do that.
I
It's the
can't take
market.
it.
You
I think they
gotta
should have
pay it.
extended him already. Go ahead, Hector.
You gotta pay it. It's the market. You
Mm.
have to pay it.
This is a league where Hector they paid what Christian Kirk what was it 22 something million or something like that
But,
with
but, but,
Tennessee.
but now, I think everybody in this room can sit here and admit that the Christian Kirk was an overpay, and once you've done that, you reset the market. So,
Mark,
so, so once, so once again, I say it again. Just because Christian Kirk got paid means one team made the mistake. It don't mean you got to follow it.
yeah, but June,
Junior, go ahead, dude.
Christian Kirk. Oh, come on, why we got to do this?
Come
Uh,
on, do it.
no,
Do it.
no, Mark,
Do
a
it.
massive overpay. I just couldn't
Thank you.
come.
It
No,
very, very
wait,
much
wait, a
was.
massive overpay for Garrett Wilson right now, in my opinion, is 35 million. I would do it at 30 right now. I would do it now before it gets worse.
If
That's what I would do. I would do it at 30,
if
31. That's
if
what
he
I
was
would
a
do.
free agent, if he was a free agent to be a bidding war,
You're right.
Yeah, you can't get penalized for the sins of a
Thank
foolish
you.
GM.
Thank you. You can't, bro. You
And
can't.
if you're looking at Garrett Wilson, if you're saying that you're paying him as a number one receiver, and is he Justin Jefferson?
No.
Probably a lot of them aren't Justin
No.
Jefferson.
All right.
But is he? But is he Jamar Chase? Is
No.
he these guys? He's not. I don't know if he's even Puka
All right.
Nacua.
But
I don't know what
all
he
right.
That's
is,
a
to be
fact.
But
honest.
we can go through every team and see what number one they have, and let's do a comparison. The Jets stink. They stink. They've never had who was the last big receiver? Brandon Marshall's yards? Didn't Brandon Marshall break the record
Yeah.
for yards?
Yep.
Yeah, I
Brandon
mean that
Marshall. Yeah.
Brandon Marshall is the guy, a nobody, not even a guy we drafted. It's
But see,
embarrassing.
but let me
No,
ask you a question.
it is, but
But it shouldn't matter whether we draft him or not.
No,
If he's on the
correct,
team,
June. You're
okay.
right. I mean,
I think June. You see what June PD what he's saying? He's basically saying why are you going to pay him like a Jamar Chase or more than a Jamar Chase? Just because he's the best
but
receiver
yes,
on the
but
Jets.
nobody's
Right.
all right, Zach. Nobody's saying I'm not paying him $40 million. No way. Goodbye. There's where my breaking point. There's no way.
Pete.
What?
Well, Pete, look, I'm not for these other guys. Like, we ever hear of the jet tax?
Yeah.
We familiar with this concept?
No,
Like,
Mark.
Yep.
sometimes
No,
you got to
Mark.
overpay.
I'm gonna be like
No.
you. I've only been a fan for so long. I never heard of that. Go ahead.
Wow. Okay, great. Look, my point is sometimes you gotta imagine how boneheaded it would be to not want to sign, extend, and keep Garrett Wilson when you just got Justin Fields as your quarterback. Like sometimes you gotta not look at this shit in a bubble and you gotta see the whole field when it comes to all of this stuff. Like you really think Garrett's gonna have an underwhelming year when you pair him up with his college quarterback? We have seen this happen with other quarterbacks in the league when you start look what happened with Burrow and Chase. You know what I mean? Look what they tried to do with what's his face, Lawrence and Etienne. Maybe that's not such a great example because it's not a wideout, but like when you like, there's going to be established chemistry between these two guys. Do you guys really think that Garrett Wilson's going to have a shit year?
No, and Mark, that's a good point because for me, I think that also Garrett's been hamstrung by shitty offensive coordinators and no good game plans and no good play calling. And I think that if he was drafted to Dallas, you'd see a different Dallas or the Rams. You would someone that's competent. You would see a different Garrett Wilson. So
And
that's
this
a fair point.
context, Zach, and this context matters when anyone starts sharing with us. Oh, but here's his yards, and here's his touchdowns, and here's his drops. Like when people say stuff like that, Zach, what I hear is what you just said, which is that he has not had. No one can describe the Jets as an ideal offensive situation. Like Tanner Engstrand, that guy's got his hands full. This is one of the worst offenses in football. Like, let's not mince
Well,
words
Mark,
about
it
it.
was one.
And Garrett Wilson's been trapped in it.
Mark, yeah, it was one of the worst offenses. Let's be real because of the coaching.
Yep. Now it's from the offensive line coach on.
Yeah, so I
That
mean,
guy was
listen,
horrible.
Mark, I will admit this on the space. I was dead wrong. I thought Aaron Rodgers, especially the first year, I mean, he got hurt 4 plays in, would fix even Hackett. Like I definitely said that. I don't care. It's Aaron Rodgers. And boy, I was wrong. Who cares though?
And Petey, to the point where Mark just made, and which me and June's been saying too for a while. What did Fields have?
I mean, he had
Exactly.
The
well, his coach.
dysfunction
Yes, his coaching was bad, Zach. To be fair.
Yeah,
Good morning,
Chicago.
guys. Can you guys hear me? I'm sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, of course we can.
Okay, okay.
Pete, when I will give
Hey.
you the stage so you could get me riled up, Pete against repeat, okay? Just give me a second.
No,
But
go ahead, go ahead. I just want to
no,
chime in on this Garrett Wilson stuff to see what you guys think.
All right, go ahead, Zach.
I just want to, yeah, I just want to finish with Fields. It was so bad that they fired two offensive coordinators and two head coaches in Chicago. The guy didn't never had a fair chance there. He goes to Pittsburgh, to a competent organization there, and he's 4-2, and he's doing a little bit better, not great, but better. And then all of a sudden, his rug's pulled, and now we get him. Is it that stretch of imagination that you find lightning, you catch lightning in the bottle with this guy?
Boy,
I
I
mean,
hope
man,
so. If Steve, if they hit on Justin Fields, I mean,
yeah,
it's never happened, and I don't know if it's going to work, Zach. But if they can somehow win with Justin Fields, and he's only 26, you're
yeah.
talking about 8-9 years. That's a
I'm
franchise
gonna,
guy.
I'm gonna tell you. Here's a quick prediction, Petey, and then I'll go back on mute. Here's the quick prediction. The quick prediction is this: if he sucks, the fans that didn't want him, they're gonna go nuts in Jets Twitter land. But I will tell you what happened. If he does hit, the fans that said that we should have drafted him instead of Zach Wilson will all come out, and you'll see what happens there. It's a guarantee.
Yeah, I
Don't
mean,
talk about my quarterback, Zach Wilson.
oh,
That's a
Pete,
Don't talk
guarantee.
about my
wait,
Zachy.
Pete,
Uh-oh.
Pete, hold
What was
on
this,
one,
T-Rock?
Pete,
Is this
Pete,
T-Rock?
Pete, don't get. Let me just say, I see Geo came up, and Geo came up without being provoked by June. Good morning, G. I don't know.
Good morning, fellas. Good morning.
Yeah,
What up, G?
Good morning, guys.
yeah.
No, I just had a quick question.
Pete
How did you guys feel?
after Geo.
Go
Pete,
ahead, Pete.
no. Let
Go ahead.
Geo. You listen. I'll admit this on stage. My son's name is your name, so you have full reign in here, my man. I love that
Thank you.
name.
Appreciate it. I got you. Now, I just wanted to know what was everyone's reaction when we drafted Garrett Wilson on draft day, like his rookie year.
I
Ah,
li-
it
Like, what
was
was your
ecstatic.
expectation
No,
of him?
we,
I was happy.
Petey, you could ask that. You could say that there's 100 people at the draft party. You know what happened.
Yeah,
No, I just want to know, like,
who's
what
happy?
was the guy like? Oh, did you guys think he was a deep threat? What was like? What exactly did you think of him?
Oh, uh-oh, June.
Well,
Can I
he
can I answer
start.
this question before
Whoa,
June?
whoa. Well, Geo, wait, one
June's
sec.
gonna be in
Geo,
trouble.
the first play, and
There's another
I
part to
remember.
the question. That's
Well,
why.
yeah, Geo. Let me just comment real quick. The play that Flacco threw that ball across the field where nobody was, and then Garrett did all that shake and bake stuff, and then Sawa threw him under the bus. Everybody was upset. Like, oh, why didn't he do this? But then he had that explosive game against Cleveland the next week, and we're like, wow, we got it. That was his best game as a pro. You got to admit. Am I right?
Yes, it was.
That's right. Now, the
But go
second part
ahead,
of the
Geo,
finish your
question
point.
is,
Yep.
real quick,
we all
Geo.
agree he's an. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, what you just said. Just wanted to tell you when that draft happened. There were a lot of people that instead of Sauce, they wanted Thibodeau. They won't admit it now, but they did. And then there was for Garrett Wilson, a lot of Jameson Williams fans that. So it was mixed reaction. I can tell you that.
Okay, all right, that's good. All right, but
If Garrett
we all
Wilson was
agree though.
coming out of this draft, if Garrett Wilson was coming out of this draft class right now, he'll be the conscious number one wide receiver. There won't be
That's great.
even no conversations. There won't
Ah,
be
without
anything
a
about him.
doubt. Even
Without a
June's
doubt,
given
he will.
100%.
Okay.
So
But we
my
all
only
agree he's
thing
an
that I did want
explosive
to come
receiver,
back
though,
to the
right?
conversation of Garrett
Wait.
Wilson. I
Geo,
get the hype. I get.
Geo, did you
Oh,
finish your point or no?
No, I
I
was
Sorry.
thought he
about to
was
say,
done.
but we all agree he's an
Pete,
explosive
I
receiver,
got you,
right?
Pete. Yes, I think
He's
he
an,
is.
okay.
So
But do
my
we
thing
know
is,
what
you
it
guys were
feels
talking
like
about.
to not be
Oh, okay.
used as an explosive receiver? Look at Tyreek Hill last year when what was, Tua got hurt. He was
Yep.
nowhere to be found.
Yeah. And
Can
Garrett
I
Like
say
that's
still,
something
what it
about
feels
Garrett
like
yeah.
Wilson,
to not have
please?
a quarterback.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, you can't use that example on Tyreek Hill when the scheme is different. That's the only issue.
I mean, they
That
schemed him, but was he getting the ball? He damn near
because
said
of
he was out the last game.
the quarterbacks that were coming in, they were not good timing throwers. So that affected Tyreek Hill the most. Tyreek Hill could ball out on any team. It's just the scheme that he was in
Tyreek Hill
Miami
would not
with
ball
the
out on the
backup
Jets.
quarterbacks. It
He
wasn't
would
gonna
not
work
ball out
that
on the
good.
Jets.
It wasn't gonna work that good. But my thing is, I did want to come back up because I heard you guys talking about Garrett Wilson and the contract extension, right? I think all of everybody up here would agree that if Garrett Wilson was coming out of this draft, he'll be the number one receiver coming out. But the question is, when is it that you guys really want to pay him? Because I heard you, Petey, talking about you got to pay him early. You're paying him right now before the season starts. You're giving him a contract, or you're waiting to see what him and Justin Fields could do together now in the NFL. What would be your preferred option to pay Garrett Wilson? You want to wait and see if it works out,
Pay him
or are you
right
willing
now.
to pay him right now?
Right
Right
now.
Right
now.
now,
That
Right
market's
please.
going.
now.
That market's going up.
Let Jules sign the check.
Yeah, why would you wait though?
Sign checks, please. Okay, can I say something? Just Gio was talking about, and then Jay. We'll get to Jay Green. Garrett Wilson, pre-draft, I remember listening to his interviews and being like, "Man, the Jets need to they really need to get this player because it's rare you have a combination of being a quality foot like the tape, the quality play on the field with Garrett, and a lot of the wow stuff, but also just his he's a unique wide receiver. He's not a prototypical X wide receiver, big body. That's not his game. But you can't argue with how he plays the game is special. And then when I listened to him in the pre-draft interview, I'm like, man, this is a sharp guy. I could tell high character guy. We're not going to have off the field issues with this guy. Like through and through quality dude. And the Jets need players like that. That was my thought. And when they drafted him, I was over the moon. I'm like, all right, perfect. Like they finally got like some kind of core cornerstone style player for the football team. I mean, obviously when they drafted Sauce with the fourth, I'm like, okay, well, they're going corner. I thought they might go edge or even take a wide out, or who knows. But then when they got Garrett, I was like, all right, great. There's actually going to be a passing guy. And listen, look at his number. Again, who's been the most consistent out of that draft class for the Jets? It's Garrett.
Who's
And
a
he
good
would be
comp for
going
Garrett?
first overall over the wideout. His comp, I have no idea. Like, you mean pro comp to Garrett?
Yeah,
That's a good
because he
question.
to me he's and he's not as thick as Jamar Chase, but he's almost like Jamar Chase.
huh?
Nah, man, I don't
Yes,
know
What?
about
yes.
that.
He's not as strong as
Hey,
Jamar Chase, but he's like the same size. He could win the same type of battles. He's a good contested catcher,
June, can you
more than
refer to
people
Pete
give him.
as takes,
hey,
please? Because
t-
I
t-
think you're talking to me. Call him
oh,
takes,
oh,
please.
takes. Come on, takes. Come on.
so
You,
so like he's a little bit of Jamar Chase. He has Jamar Chase in him.
I
That's
don't
what
think
I
so.
think. For being like what?
Buckeye
How big?
instinct.
How tall is he? Like 5'10", 5'11"? He's not 6 foot, right?
He,
I would say he's more Odell than Jamar Chase.
yeah.
Odell is a really good comp as well. I like
I
Odell
like that
as well.
compliment.
But that's what I'm saying. That's the realm he's in. A shorter type receiver that is still good in contested catches, and that is
Great
important to
Dolphin
have.
space, guys, with Showtime
No.
and Pete here.
A contested no.
He's a good contested catcher.
Take. I'm gonna call you PT. PT, come on, PT. Don't
Yeah, that's
be
better,
funny.
So what
June.
do you think? Well, what do you
PT.
think he is? Only a separator, and he could only catch. I mean, I've seen this dude Garrett Wilson catch passes and contested catches plenty of times.
Contested catches?
Yes,
June
those
don't
back
remember.
shoulder, the
Doesn't
Aaron
remember.
Rodgers, those back shoulder throws that he's all over with coverage all over him. Those are not
Can I
easy catches
can
to
I pick
make.
up June for a second on this point, June? So you like big body receivers. Okay,
Yeah.
you want prototypical X guys as your wide receiver one. So you
He
know
likes
who
Lazard.
was a prototypical big body like X wide receiver picked in the same draft class as Garrett Wilson?
You say it again. Do I know what now?
Prototypical
Drake
X
London.
Y.
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Buckeye.
Yes.
Buckeye was listening. Fantastic. Thank you. Good morning, Buckeye. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah,
The
you
When
hear
traits.
that, Jude?
Wow, this
Already.
is nuts.
The
This is a
Saints
turn.
he's
Wait. This
already.
is a turn of events because Buckeye's been really bad with Mark lately, and I'm not trying to be funny because Buckeye has annoyed me with that. It's been getting a little bit, whatever.
No,
But
it has it.
Buck
No, it
got
has it.
You mean
yeah.
holding Mark accountable, Petey?
Well, I mean, you could
Uh,
say it. Well,
Yeah, there you
Buckeye,
go.
I'm going to pull a Mark here. You're listening. Good job.
can I please complete the
The
point?
Chase Wilson comparison is like saying Sherwood is Milano.
Yeah,
Let's
that's
let's not
crazy. That was
let's
crazy.
not. Can we please not muddy the waters on this? Because again, we're talking about wide receivers in the same class.
Wow,
So
Mark,
June,
muddy the
I'm just
waters,
doing
Mark.
and
Muddy
June,
doing
if
a
you
Waters
had
is
a
an
nebulous
album by Redman.
comparison here,
Yes,
Mark.
indeed.
All right, Mark's
June,
going to get frustrated. Sorry.
I am all right. June, if
Yes,
we
sir.
had a redo of the draft, would you rather have taken Drake London over Garrett Wilson?
No,
Heck no.
as a matter of fact, I'm pretty sure Jake Atchman has the show. When we was all saying who we wanted, I said I wanted Sauce and I wanted Garrett, and that's exactly what we got. But what I didn't know is that I didn't know that he wouldn't be the deep threat, or he wouldn't be and that's fine. Once again, I'm not penalizing for it. I'm just saying that he needs a compliment, which is the reason why I keep banging the table for Tat McMillan,
Hey,
because